99% of people in the world don't know how important Ripple and XRPs are. I know what you're thinking, Nick. That's just clickbait. It's just silly, you know? You could say that, or you could find out more. There are 6.5 million XRP wallets out there. There are 6.5 million of them, and I think about half of them are from small buyers. So it's possible that there are about 3.2 million wallets holding XRP. As I already said, the portion of the world's population it's very small. What else is there for me to say? People have said things like, oh, they're not going to let everyone get rich off of XRP. They're not. It's better that you don't know 99 things. Like 1% was the subject. It was easy to make the new 1% with XRP. Since 98% of the people in the world are asleep at the wheel. However, let us talk about this. In this case, on-chain funds are number one. What is your plan for custody? We look into this when we think about custody, especially Ripple custody, and we say, okay, well, the tokenization is going to happen. As of now, stablecoins are out there. The tech is being embraced by institutions. When we think about what Ripple does, they give institutions a place where they can do everything at once. At the same time, right? That acceptance at the institutional level is only going to speed up. We know that the XRP ledger got a full breakdown of an institutional DeFi plan at the end of February of this year. This showed us that Ripple was speeding up the growth of the XRP system by working with big businesses. Now, DeFi in institutions changes everything. It changes everything because it will bring a lot of new people and value to more than just XRP, right? It's the whole space, not just XRP. It's not enough for institutions to just add tokenized assets to the chain. You know, they're not just stopping with DeFi projects. They're putting everything they have into crypto. In the same way that countries are now racing to become leaders in crypto, they want to be a leader in crypto. You know, it began with the EU. It's now the US, it's now the UK too, the United Arab Emirates. It's a race, and institutions are also trying to get in on it. Now that we've looked into this, we can look ahead because it all ties back to this post from Ripple and is institutional and DeFi on the XRP system. The bottom part shows what's live and what's coming up. This shows how tokenization and open finance will change in the future. It looks like the XRP ledger will be a leader in regulated on-chain banking. The XRP ledger will be used for the next step of institutional DeFi because it has a lot of liquidity, features that are easy to use, and is easy for institutions to integrate. The XRP ledger will be a leader in the future of regulated on-chain finance that's becoming a fact. This is Ripple telling us this. A roadmap page is being made for institutional DeFi, but the XRP ledger community as a whole is already changing the future of DeFi with new ideas like the price oracles, DID, and new tokenization standards. Also, this really changes the game. Also, those decentralized identifiers are a big deal because, as Larry Fink of BlackRock told CNBC, we can't have tokenization on a large scale without digital recognition. IDs that are not organized could be that thing. In a decentralized way, which is great for people who want to keep control of their privacy and identity. That changes everything. The XRP system and Ripple are also planning for that, of course. But at the end of the day side from an establishment point of view will continue to change and grow quickly on the XRP ledger. This is also what brings me to this post from RippleX. RUA tokenization is accelerating, and the XRP ledger is at the center of driving institutional adoption. Again, this is more proof of how important XRP and XRP-L are becoming for the mainstream use of this technology. Then we'll look at this Allium study, tomorrow at TradFi, DeFi, and the rise of extensible finance. 76% of businesses are currently working with crypto. Ones like Fidelity, Van Eek's, CME Group, and BNY Mellon are part of this. But there are many more that aren't fully public yet. But 76%, that's crazy. The same goes for DeFi. 66% of TradFi companies are doing something with it. This is where we look at the institutional side of things. These are the groups that make public statements. Bank of America, BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Kinesis with JP Morgan, and Visa. You could also add MasterCard. It's likely that MasterCard also has live calls with the public. On the other hand, 66% are hooked up to DeFi. This tells us that a lot of people from institutions are coming into the DeFi area. We think of the XRPL right away because Ripple has been putting a lot of attention on it. TradFi also doesn't agree with the idea that private blockchains are just as useful as public blockchains that don't need permission to use. And yes, they do say that public blockchains allow for fairer and easier involvement and better connectivity than private or permissioned chains. This also proves that the XRPL will gain a lot from being a public blockchain that makes participation more fair and easier. Also, the fact that it is very efficient for doing business is very bullish. It's very important to pay attention to the things that are available on public blockchains because secret is not the way to go. Let's look at JP Morgan again. That's a private blockchain. It's called Konnexus, or KNKKNIXUS, depending on how you say it. That was Onyx by JP Morgan at first. So the fact that that's all falling apart under their feet because public blockchains are thought to be more important shows us where we're going. In the future, the XRPL will be the most important thing for institutions, especially when it comes to DeFi. There are also TradFi companies that believe DeFi will become very important to most core businesses in the future. We have it, and traditional finance starts to think that DeFi is going to happen as the time span gets longer. How important do you think DeFi will be in 11 to 15 years? At this point, we have moderately 37.7%, very 34.3%, and seriously 16.3%. Then we have more than 15 years. 37.3% say it's very bad, 28.3% say it's very bad, and 27.3% say it's fairly bad. You can see that DeFi is going to happen. All of this will happen on the XRP system. It might not get all the traction that DeFi does, but I think a lot of it will move over to XRPL. That's what I think because of the names that are linked to Ripple. I mean, Ripple has been a major player in the market for a long time. That's why it makes a lot of sense for XRP to be the star of the show and be that well-known institutional grade network for tokenization projects and DeFi. However, this upcoming change is similar to what happened in other areas or times of change in TradFi, such as the speeding up of e-trading and, of course, the shortening of the settlement cycle. It's all kind of the same when we think about what's going on here. You can see how big these past changes were. But this is a lot bigger. We don't just look at crypto itself, you know. We take a look at how crypto works. That's why when we think of crypto, we think of tokenization and how fast trades can happen. We need to think about DeFi too, though. Because DeFi changes everything, all of that is 10 or 100 times bigger than things like e-trading speeding up or even just shortening the settling cycle. It's not this big. Some of the biggest costs in TradFi are also found in technology infrastructure, which is another area where blockchains could play a bigger role in the future. Here we have risk management, legal compliance, reporting, and risk management. Smart contracts and transparency make risk management possible automatically. When you look at what's really going on, you can see that public blockchains are solving all of the big problems that TradFi has. It's crazy because we've been chatting about this for years, and we even have that technology can save about 25% of costs because many financial services businesses have low profit margins. A big reason is that this much money can be saved.